Let's do this. Alrighty. Ooh. Oh, I didn't change the title. Well, you know what? I can do that. Fuck it, we're doing it live. I know. I'm so mad that it's Bill O'Reilly because it's so good. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very Ron Burgundy thing. Alright, there we go. Bleepin Space Jim, Episode 2, Charlie X. Fear. Sex. No sex. um, well, this may be someone's first episode, so we might as well introduce ourselves. I'm Haley. And what? Oh, hello, Petty Pixie. The notification I got for the stream was stabby stabby, and I think it should stay like that. Also, only one B in stabby stabby. I'm pretty sure that is my notification for when I play Assassin's Creed, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it just being stabby stabby. Yep, yep. We can live with that. Hello, Petty Pixie. I hope you are doing well. Please let me know if you can't hear either of us or if there are any other issues. It seems like you're currently our only viewer, which is totally fine. I am super excited that you're here. I only take requests from you. Oh, also, because I'm a fool and didn't tell you this before we went live, I am on call tonight. So if this phone starts ringing, I will hurriedly mute myself and run away. Yeah, I love it. I'm into it. And Jesus, apparently. I love it. I love a pop filter that doesn't work. I an an onomatopoeia. Oh, Brayden is not coming through. Okay,
Okay.
this might be better. Is this working now?
I was gonna say let's find out.
Yeah, we will find out.
Because otherwise, if you get a call and I'm not coming through, this is gonna get real elaborate real quickly.
You're going to suddenly learn sign language.
Yes, I was just gonna say. Oh God, what would the sign language for Captain Kirk be?
I'm gonna look that up.
I was just gonna say no. I was just gonna. Oh
Captain
man, I don't even know if I
Kirk
want an actual. I don't even know if I want an actual answer. I feel this is probably spot.
Captain Kirk choking, making a meme. So the Vulcan salute is the sign for Vulcan. That's cool.
That's fun. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Oops. Turn that one to silent. One phone is allowed to stay on, the other one not so much.
I gotcha. I was just gonna say that's why we call you two phones Mayland. No? No? Am I not? Are we not making that a thing?
I am fine with this. I just nobody said that before.
You know what? I was just
Vulcan
gonna say,
salute, touch to the left arm. Okay, so
touch to the left arm. Okay.
This I neither of us is fluent in ASL,
No,
so we don't know for
absolutely not.
Absolutely Excellent. Not. Petty Pixie can hear you, so we're good. We're good.
Good.
All right. I accidentally muted you again.
Accidentally. Uh-huh. No. I would say, Haley, you can mute me IRL. Now, I'm a part of this now.
I mean, specifically invited you, so, you know. Okay. Let's Let's get into it.
All right,
Let's
go
talk
for it,
about
T-Phones.
fucking episode 2, Charlie X.
Mm,
Dear good gracious Lord, this episode. So Brayden and I have talked about this. This is our least favorite episode of this season.
yep.
It is
I
very
think
difficult to watch.
I was just gonna say because Haley's gone. I think through the full season, I've gotten to like episodes like 18, and no, this one's awful. This one's terrible.
Yeah, we're not fans.
Yeah, it's. I was just gonna say, do we want to go into sort of the broad strokes as to why we don't like it, or do we just continue it as we go?
I I think I would like to talk about the episode at least a little bit before we talk about why
Yes,
we
let's
don't
do
like
that.
it.
Let's do
We
that.
need to give
Context is
some
important.
context.
Yes.
So I am going to preface this with I'm reading the synopses from memoryalphafandom.com because it has a very good synopses, and I didn't have time to write my own. So there you go.
Mhm.
Uh, all right. So the USS Enterprise makes a rendezvous.
Rondesvius, I believe it's pronounced.
Rendezvous. Yes, you're correct. The USS Enterprise makes a rendezvous with the Antares, a small cargo ship. While sorry, while investigating the planet Theseus, the Antares discovered an adolescent boy named Charles Evans, the sole survivor of a ship crash who has lived on his own since age 3. Evans transfers to the Enterprise, which is on its way to Colony Alpha 5, where Evans's only relatives live. Captain Ramart and his navigator and first officer Tom Nellis are eager to be on their way after beaming aboard the Enterprise, even refusing Captain Kirk's offer of saurian brandy.
Which is
That's
a,
the
I was
good
like, we
shit.
find out later. That's a big surprise.
That's the good shit.
Yes, I was just
As
gonna
well as
say,
entertainment tapes. So he was going to drop off the latest
porn.
films,
It's
but
porn. It's porn.
I mean,
It's porn.
unfortunately, the Antares is just going to have to wait for Morbius to come in theaters a third time.
I would say, interestingly, that's the only thing that they were able to bring off of Earth. That's
Yeah.
the most widely available.
That was the only movie they
Yep,
could
I was just gonna
find.
say that's the Super Nintendo ET of I would say of pop culture. But okay,
You mean
I would say
Atari ET?
Atari. You know what? Again, I would say it's gonna happen. I'm gonna have a general idea of how
Yeah.
it's sort of this.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
vice versa. You
it's gonna be fine.
No one can know everything about everything. It's fine.
But goddamn it, I'll try. But okay, so I would say again we just have like I would say the captain, the navigator, and Charlie coming. I would say coming on board.
Yep.
And
Everything is immediately weird.
yes, I was just gonna say. I think I coined the phrase orchestral spoilers in this one. Because the minute every camera goes on to Charlie, who has, I would say at this point, just like, I mean, he's kind of a kid looking thing, there is a ominous brass. There's an ominous brass thing. To
Kind
each and
of a
everything.
kid-looking thing.
Kind of a kid looking
He's
thing.
a human.
I don't know, man. I was just going to, kind of a kid. Oh, yeah, I was just saying, no, I stand by my descriptor. I stand by my descriptor.
All right, we can live with
It's
that.
kind of a kid looking thing, and just sort of like, just every time the camera goes on, and
True.
it's an ominous.
Extremely
Like,
true.
I was like, so you know immediately, oh,
Yep.
there's something fucky with this kid.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
something fucky with this kid.
This kid is not right.
Yep, this kid ain't right. We need to talk about Charlie.
We don't talk about Charlie.
I was just gonna say, I was going for the reference about the 2014 Ezra Miller vehicle, but I would say let's go with the more recent one. Let's go with the more recent one. We
Let's
don't
go with
talk
the
about-
one that other people have actually heard of, Braden.
Oh, fine. Fine.
All right. But they are also effusive in their praise of Charlie. Charlie interrupts Ramart and Nellis a couple times, which prompts Kirk to say to him, "You keep interrupting, Mr. Evans. That's considered wrong." Yeoman Janice Rand enters the transporter room, and Kirk asks her to show Charlie to his quarters and drop off his medical records at sickbay. Innocently, Charlie asks Captain Kirk if Yeoman Rand is a girl. "That's a girl," the captain replies.
Yep.
Rand escorts Charlie out, much to Kirk's amusement. Yes.
That's the sort of thing of just like, okay, I would say, like, kind of just, again, during that interruption, I would say just sort of during the initial thing, it's like, Yeah, Charlie can speak English despite being on his own for like 13 years because he found tapes on like the ship.
Hmm. Yeah, he basically was raised by the ship's computer, as far as
How?
we know.
As far I would say, yeah, as far as we know for sure.
Petty Pixie
How?
is going to start calling children kid-looking things.
Yes, highly recommend Petty Pixie. I
Correct.
may continue that in my own life as well. I I was just gonna say, and again, after 13 years of going through tapes, it seems strange that there's not a mention of a woman. That's like an entirely inverse Bechdel test. I would say, like, just not a single mention of a
I
woman.
so I think it's a little different. I think like the tapes can tell him this is a man, this is a woman, this is the gender binary that in the 1960s world that actually existed. That was what they understood. Um, in my brain, it's 24th century. The computer's telling him there are male, female, neither, both, all. Like I believe that it teaches him about the gender spectrum
Mm-hmm.
because Star Trek is utopian.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but I think what it is more that the cargo ship only had male presenting people, or he only encountered male presenting people. So this is the first time he's meeting someone that would be considered female.
Okay, so just like the live experience. I would say, yeah, just like the live experience. It's just different. I would say it's just different. I would say it's just different live, man. But yeah, no, it's okay. You know what? I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I'll
That
buy
that
that.
that was my interpretation of it.
No, I was just gonna say you give
less
Charlie Evans a very large amount of credit.
less sexist, more like scientific, like confused scientist sort of thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Uh, Wonderful. Charlie is a creepy motherfucker. I would just like to say that.
Yes, I was just gonna say that's not in the synopses, and that is really the through line throughout this entire episode.
Yep. Yep.
Charlie's a creepy motherfucker.
Yep. Um, okay. After a routine checkup by Dr. McCoy, Charlie attempts to learn and integrate, demonstrating the effect of his years away from all human contact. At the same time, strange incidents occur in his vicinity. Charlie is also struggling mightily with adolescence and his first crush, Janice Rand.
Yup, there is a fixation that maybe the writers initially intended as innocent, but oh my god, does it not age?
But
Like that's
okay, Brayden,
hmm,
do you remember the first time that you were young-ish, like not necessarily a child, not necessarily a teenager, but young-ish, and you had a crush on an adult?
I mean, no, okay, no, fair, but it's just I would say just the way it's shot and the way it's sort of like done. It's just like, oh, this is a little ominous. Like this is just also the orchestral spoilers of brass. That does not help things.
Brass.
Brass. That does not help things. Like not at all. And just like, hi, I got you this flower. Brass. Hey, it's your favorite perfume. Brass.
I am telling my partner that I expect that from now on whenever he gives me gifts.
Brass. Just
Just have it
I
queued up on the phone.
yeah.
Hey, Haley, I got you your favorite ube mochi. Brrr.
Yes, absolutely. 100% do that thing.
um, After observing crewman Wilson and a sciences division crewman slapping each other casually, Charlie does the same to Yeoman Rand's behind in a corridor, shocking her. Afterward, Rand advises Charlie to tell Captain Kirk or Dr. McCoy what he had just done and ask them for advice. I want to pause for a second here because this starts a thread that happens through the rest of the episode where adults, for some reason, expect Charlie to just instinctively know what he's doing is right or wrong. This is a boy who has literally never been socialized, who has spent his entire life basically with a computer. And these adults are talking about, like, well, you should know not to do that. How should he know not to do that? Nobody teaches him. So while Charlie is a very like creepy and unusual child, and like
He's a feral child for
he's a
all
feral
intents and
child,
purposes.
basically.
Yes, that's. Mhm,
That's a great way of putting it.
mhm.
And while all of those things are true, he also never gets any guidance or teaching.
Oh no, I would say, and again, just like there are, he is passed along from person to person to person, and just like, no, ask Captain Kirk, he'll explain. He'll explain what's wrong. Ask McCoy, he'll tell. Ask McCoy, tell you. Ask Spock, he'll tell you. Oh, Spock didn't tell you.
Yeah, like nobody wants to explain to him what's going on. So I have a huge problem with that, but that just kind of putting that caveat right at the top here. Um, Afterwards, in the Enterprise's recreation room on deck 3, Uhura is singing "Oh, on the Starship Enterprise" to a rapt Rand and other crew members. Rand ignores Charlie's card tricks. He secretly uses his power to silence Uhura's voice as well as the sounds coming from Spock's Vulcan lute so that he can have Rand's undivided attention. He then proceeds with a few card tricks that amuse Rand and others in the crew lounge, who applaud appreciatively.
I will say, like, this is the start of like 5 minutes of. This is a vaudeville show. Like, this is a straight up 5 minute
That's
vaudeville
why they got
show.
Robert Walker, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it again. I think we'll probably talk about Robert Walker, like the guy playing Charlie, a little bit. And just like this guy was basically one audition away from like being like Gomer Pyle. Like he
Yeah.
did comedies. Like he was just like the fresh faced. Like he did comedies. Like I would say he's a song and dance guy.
Yep. Yep.
I, I would,
Also, important to note, he is 26 at the filming of this episode.
and looks mid-30s.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
We'll show photos in a moment. I want to
Oh
get
boy, are we gonna show a photo?
want to get through this first
Like,
act here.
I would say, like again, there's a straight up musical break in this. I would say Uhura and
Which
Michelle Nichols. I would say
Uhura and Spock
bring
totally
the
flirting.
fucking yes. I would say, oh my god, yes. Like that is. I was like, this is like, I want them to fuck.
I
This
am
is just like, yes, I
I am
would
a
like this to happen.
hardcore Spurk stan. I am oh
Mm-hmm.
I but like Uhura flirting with Spock is my favorite thing because he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know what to do about it.
Yep. It just sort of looks like, okay, all right, this is happening, and it's
He's like,
just.
"Oh, I believe this is the human action of flirtation."
I believe her leaning over the table and crawling over it towards me is a mating ritual of some sort.
Fascinating.
That's yes, that's the one. That's the soundbite. That's the
Yeah.
soundbite.
Yeah, sure is.
Mm.
Later, in a corridor, Kirk is advising a galley chef that on Earth today it is Thanksgiving, and if the crew of the Enterprise has to eat synthetic meatloaf, he wants it to look like turkey. Just then, Charlie arrives and tells Kirk of the trouble he had interacting with Rand earlier. Kirk awkwardly attempts to explain that men and women do things differently, but before he can elaborate further to Charlie, Kirk is asked to come up to the bridge by Uhura.
This fills me with such joy because I don't know if it's just like William. I would just say William Shatner acting as Kirk, just like, oh, I'm not remotely prepared for this, or if this is genuinely like a mid 60s, just like,
Oh,
all
we
right,
don't
why
talk
can't
about this.
I was just gonna say, why can we hit a man but not a woman? Because it's about here. Give me a second to look up my notes because I think I wrote it down. I believe it is a solid 48 seconds of basically just a pan on Kirk and just sort of just like, well, you see, Charlie, when you hit a man, you don't hit a woman, but when you hit a man, it's different because it's man to man. But if you hit a woman, it's a man to woman, and it's different. And then he gets a call, and which I
Oh
can
my
only
god, you
imagine.
nailed it!
Yep. Why? Thank you.
That is
You're very kind.
exactly the
You're very
scene.
kind. Yep. It's. I was just gonna say, my God, there's a comedy of errors that could happen about just. I was just gonna say about Captain Kirk having to. I would say having to just like father the assortment of bastards he has left across the galaxy. Spoiler alert.
No. I assume Kirk uses protection. Uh,
Do you?
yes,
Do you?
absolutely. Like,
Alright.
the only reason the man can fuck his way across a galaxy is because he knows he's not getting anyone pregnant and he's not getting any weird space STIs.
I was just gonna say, do you think they I was just gonna say, do you think the Enterprise comes back to a planet more than once? Do ya?
Exactly. Um, Petty Pixie came here for Kirk impressions and was not disappointed.
Why, thank you, Petty Pixie. Very much appreciated. Don't encourage me. I'll keep this going.
Oh, I love it. I'll encourage you. In fact, we have a whole show for it.
Oh, thank God. Anyways, yes.
All right. So Captain Kirk is asked to come up to the bridge. At extreme range, Captain Ramart attempts to contact the Enterprise and speak to Captain Kirk.
The guy who dropped Charlie off,
Yes.
just like, oh, and by the way.
But before he can say more than, "I've got to warn," his ship is destroyed. Charlie advises Kirk that it wasn't very well constructed. A strange comment, since it comes before Spock actually confirms the Antares' destruction. Kirk is then hailed by the Enterprise's chef, who tells the captain that he had put meatloaf in the ovens, but there are turkeys in them now. Real turkeys. Charlie laughs at hearing this, then leaves the bridge abruptly, leaving Kirk feeling that Charlie is hiding something.
But what sort of enormous leap of logic goes from weird child to can blow up ship and transform turkeys? Like, because they're sort of just like I would say, there's just like that William Shatner, like, 1960s end of scene pan of just sort of like, just looking off and just, huh. This kid had
Well,
something to do with it.
none of this weird stuff was happening until Charlie was here. So I think that's the the correlation that he's making.
Okay, so it's not just immediate, no, this motherfucker has something to do with it, just, huh, weird.
It's like,
Alright.
this is odd, and the only thing that's changed is Charlie. Because it's not like they stopped off at a planet and, like, dropped off a bunch of crew members and brought on new ones. One thing has changed.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
So.
Alright, objection
Oh,
withdrawn, Your Honor.
And a continuation of one of our discussions from last time, which is how many people are on the Enterprise. It is 438. 28.
28, I believe.
Yeah, 428 people. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just going to say, that's a ship. That is a ship.
It's enough that you know name, rank, serial number of the majority of them, and some of them you create more personal relationships with.
I was just going to say, and even just like on my level, 420, if you knew name, rank, and serial number of 428 people, like that you work with, that's astonishing.
I think that's my Facebook friends list.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, you're a lot more popular than I am. Anyways, it's fine.
I just don't delete anyone. I'm a lazy bastard.
Oh, fair enough. All right.
Sorry for everyone who's my Facebook friend and is like, oh, does she not like me? I barely use Facebook. Don't worry about it.
If you're watching this, you two are probably good. You two are probably
good.
If
you are actively watching a thing that I'm making, we're good. We're friends.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Act 2. Kirk and Spock are pondering the destruction of the Antares during a game of three-dimensional chess when Charlie walks in and asks to play. After defeating Spock in an illogical approach to the game, Spock's words, Kirk turns it over to Charlie, during which Spock easily beats him in 2 moves. When Charlie gets angry, Spock leaves, and then Charlie uses his powers to melt the white chess pieces.
I believe this is the first time we actually sort of see the overt use of...
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Haley, do we have that? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And this, I was just going to say, all of a sudden, I think we've lost Haley briefly, and... Okay, so, this is the facial expression that Charlie makes when actively using his powers. And this right now, I'd say, Haley, if I could do like a 2-minute detour.
I love it. Please.
Alright, so this was released in September 15th, 1966, about 3 years after X-Men 1. Also, coincidentally, somewhat psychic Charlie X, I would say run by Professor Charles Xavier. And generally his powers are sort of signified, I would say he just sort of does like 2 fingers to the temple and just sort of, thinks. I would say if he's really concentrating, 2. That's how you know he's serious. these happened at relatively the same time because X-Men is still very was not absolutely popular. Like it was on the edge of being canceled at that point. Star Trek was still like the new hotness at this point. Imagine how different life, I would say, pop culture would be if instead of just like sticking with just like the two fingers to the temple, you had Patrick Stewart making this face every time Professor X did something. It just, I would say I would say that was basically sort of like the pop cultural thing of okay, that's telepathic, that's psychic. Imagine Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, making that face every time.
Um, as you were talking about this, I was just getting that image up, so just give me a second to toss it into my little
Yes,
slideshow here.
by all means, by all means. That was just my initial, just like, okay, this was very much the two roads. I would say just sort of like there's two roads that one could travel, and they went the X Men route. But I think yes, I was just gonna say that was the other option of just like telepathic. He's got a psychic power, or the roll his eyes back in his head as if he's having the worst orgasm of his life.
Petty Pixie says we were robbed.
Yep. I was just gonna say again. Just imagine Patrick Stewart doing that, eyes rolled back of the head, neck down. Yes. I was just gonna say, pop culture would have been changed.
You know what I would rather see is. Can you tell I'm getting the
I
photo?
was just gonna say, I'm so excited.
Oh
Tell
no,
me
I don't
more.
know if this is the right one. Okay, so we've reset to Charlie. What I would rather see is James McAvoy doing it.
Yep. Okay, that's fair. I was just gonna say. I was like, yeah, that's the one that I could probably pull.
I can't
That's
roll
what.
my eyes back in my head. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's a facial expression. I
Yeah,
would say that's.
it's a
I would
lot
say
of
that's.
work. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say again, that's. I would say that's work, and also just how Charlie Evans is psychic ability. He can roll his eyes back in his head just simultaneously.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
What was? Oh,
But yes, there. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I want to take a second here, since we've already non sequitured, which
Yes.
this is what this show is for. This is what we do. I want to talk a little bit about Charlie's outfit. This is one of the only photos I could find of it. He is wearing what appears to be sackcloth, designed similarly to the fourth Doctor's sweater or a scarf. Pardon me. It's like a combination of all these different fabrics and like all these different colors. It's very strange. I'm not a fan. It looks extremely uncomfortable. And everyone is still wearing the Star Trek boots.
Oh, absolutely. I would say once you've made that decision, you're
Yeah.
with it, man.
Yeah.
You're with
You
it.
just own it.
I was just gonna say, and I would say like the crew of the Antares didn't give him like any even just like a crewman's clothes or
Well,
something.
he does have a different sweater a little bit later.
I think that's probably just like something that the Enterprise gave him. Really, I
That's
would say because the
possible.
Antares he's sackcloth and ashes. They really didn't like him that much.
That's really funny.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so after Charlie melts all the chess pieces, Rand introduces Charlie to Yeoman Tina Lawton, who is near Charlie's age, which is allegedly 17. Charlie ignores Lawton, hurting her feelings, after which Rand tells Charlie that he was rude to her. Charlie then makes his feelings known to Rand that he wants her and only her, which makes the yeoman feel very uneasy. Girl, me too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Girl, me too.
I believe the phrase he used was, "You smell like a girl." I just no,
No,
nope,
thank you.
nope,
That's on the
absolutely
same
nope,
line as
nope.
you smell different when you're awake. Don't.
Nope, nope,
That's a
nope.
weird thing to say. I don't care who you
Nope.
are. That is a weird thing to say.
Yep.
Uh, Rand,
Mhm.
sorry, I had to
Yeah.
find my place again.
Mhm.
Rand goes to the bridge and wants Kirk to have a talk with Charlie before she asks the young man to leave her alone, which will hurt his feelings. Girl, get over it. Uh,
Yeah, I was just gonna say nope. I would say that's a punch in the nose. Wait, I would say she should have punched him in the friggin' nose. Like,
yes,
yeah.
he's 17. Yes, this is his first crush, but I want to go back to nobody is teaching him how to act.
Hmm.
And, uh, like, yes, you're going to have to break his heart. That's just the way it goes. When you're the first crush, that's what you got to do, unfortunately. Um, Calling Charlie to his quarters, Kirk takes pity on the young man and attempts to befriend him, taking him to the physical training room for some light sparring. Initially refusing to participate, Charlie falls awkwardly and prompts laughter from Sam, Kirk's sparring partner. Humiliated and angry, Charlie makes Sam disappear, revealing his powers. Uh,
I
Tell
would
me
say,
about this, Braden, because I have a photo for you.
I was just gonna say, I was just gonna say, I kind of want to talk about the befriending first. Yeah, I was just gonna say that was almost the exact one I was gonna send you. Just like, yeah, I was just gonna say that is absolutely a very, very, very shirtless William Shatner. That was
It's an
like
extremely shirtless William Shatner.
an extremely shirtless William Shatner, and really, if we panned a little bit further down, it's like, there's no dance belt. That's
No,
not. I don't think that's a dance belt.
no,
No. I
we,
would say
we.
we have a fairly decent idea on whether or not William Shatner is circumcised.
I wasn't looking that closely. What is your opinion?
You know, I was just gonna say he was. I was thinking circumcised. That I actually genuinely was like, oh yeah, he was raised Jewish. Yeah,
Yeah,
circumcised.
he's almost definitely circumcised. Yeah.
Yep. I was just gonna say, but I would say just I kind of want to talk about the befriending because like there's an element of just like he's I think making a genuine best Captain Kirk effort. I would say to just try. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
I would say like genuinely like I would say you're right. There is no reason for him to be shirtless. There's
correct.
nobody else. Nobody else is. I would say, but sort of, like, he's making a genuine Captain Kirk effort, and just like
It's the pose.
Charlie, you need to sort. Yes, I was just gonna say, there's a power pose. That is a power pose, like 100%. Like, all right, you need to exude authority, and you need to glisten. God damn it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. All of a sudden, it's just like, yes, ma'am. But yes, I would say just to be friendly. I would say genuinely, a lot of it's just sort of like, okay, okay, Charlie, you need to actually like. Sometimes you have. I would say sometimes you like a girl, sometimes she doesn't like you back. And I would say it's
You
just
could
sort
have
of like
been someone, Charlie.
you could have been someone,
You
Charlie.
could have
No,
been
no.
a contender.
I was just gonna say I think I'm losing the Shatner now, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna try.
you went deep into Brando territory there.
Well, could be worse. I mean, what was Brando doing at this point?
Hmm.
Probably a streak on named Desire.
uh,
Anyway, sorry. I was
yes,
saying,
and then you went into Dom DeLuise.
oh God, it's going away. It's going away. I'll get it back eventually. But yeah, you basically say, Charlie. I was saying, like, okay, you need to basically for all. Nope, it's gone now. I'm gonna keep
Charlie,
on trying.
Charlie.
Charlie, Charlie.
She's not the girl, Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
She's. You have to
She
let
doesn't
it
like it.
go,
Like,
Charlie.
oh, do you have the quote? Do you have the
No, I
quote?
don't have the quote. I can
Okay,
find
I
the
was just
quote.
gonna say. I mean, like, basically, it's just like the years are wrong, Charlie. And the
The
way
years.
I would say, and just like the last sort of thing was just sort of like, and Charlie's just like has this phrasing of just like, I feel hungry all over. What do I do? And I was entirely expecting Shatner to just lean in and just, well, Charlie, you take a sock, you take some lotion, and 45 seconds later you hose yourself off, take a nap, and you're right as rain. That's what you do.
Is your
That is
mom still in the
entirely what
room?
my... yes, she is.
Is that the talk your dad had with you?
Yes, I was just gonna say he also sounded like William.
Oh no, I've lost Brayden.
I thought that conversation was going. Oh no.
Sorry, you froze out for a second there.
But yes, long story. No, no, no. That's fine. But yes, long story short, I would say it's just sort of like, okay, after that talk, which I think Kirk thought went well,
Kirk was the only one who
maybe
thought that went well.
yes, nobody else did. I would say Charlie literally, I think, says, "Do you understand?"
No.
No. All right, let's go fight. And then
And
shirtless
then
Shatner.
shirtless, circumcised Shatner.
Yes.
Shirtless, circumcised Shatner. Shirtless, circumcised
Yes.
Shatner.
I'm saying that's a speech exercise.
If I didn't
Shirtless,
think I would
circumcised Shatner.
get like a cease and desist, I would totally make that one of our t-shirts.
Oh, without a doubt. I was just gonna say that he seems a very litigious man.
Well, we know he likes to run people over on his scooter, so
Yes, that is a hot take that we heard too. I would say that
2 weeks ago,
that
yeah.
is a bit of information. Yep, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. See, this is what happens if you miss an episode. You find out these things about William Shatner.
Um. Okay, so
Oh yes, I would say he finally made a man disappear. Like you have actually straight up seen like
is someone
okay.
running the water in the background, Brayden?
Could you? Sorry. Nope, we're good.
This makes it
Yeah,
sound like Brayden lives in his parents' house and is doing this. No, his parents are
he lives
visiting.
with me. Damn it.
I'm so sorry. I heard I was like,
No, no, no,
Mom,
no, no.
stop.
That's entirely fine.
Woo, episode 2, and we are losing our goddamn minds.
Yep, yep. I was just gonna say. I mean, it's a Star Trek live stream show. It's not entirely beyond the pale of
No,
assumption.
no,
No.
certainly not.
All right. So he made a man
He
disappear.
made a man disappear, and we figure out, okay, Charlie is definitely the reason weird things are happening. So Kirk immediately calls for security to escort Charlie back to his quarters. But Charlie resists, knocking down the 2 security officers with his powers. One of them draws his phaser, but Charlie makes it disappear. He finally agrees to go to his quarters after Kirk tells the young man that he will personally pick him up and take him there himself if he does not. After
It was a. Oh, sorry. I would say it was a straight-on shirtless alpha wolf scenario. Like that's genuinely what happened.
Charlie, go to your quarters, or I will pick you up and take you there myself.
Which is absolutely a line that I think might have worked in William Shatner's heyday.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, Captain Kirk's heyday.
Well, I I still think that line would work. Um,
Hmm.
because like yes, you and I are very inclusive people. We believe in respecting people's boundaries and their limits and things like that. But I think it's also like you have to have some authority. You have to exercise that authority as a
Yep.
captain. And
Hmm.
someone who only understands physical reactions, that is how you get through to them.
Yep. Oh no, absolutely. I was just gonna say, like, there's a reason Kirk didn't get vaporized.
Yep.
That's why.
Yep.
Mhm.
After Charlie and security leave, Kirk is informed by Uhura that all phasers on board the Enterprise have disappeared. Later, in the briefing room discussing Charlie to McCoy and Spock following the incident in the gymnasium, Kirk speculates that Charlie might be a Thasian, but McCoy doubts this based on his medical analysis results. So essentially, Kirk thinks that while Charlie was stranded on Theseus, but he was actually a Thasian that was like allowed to live among humans for a little while.
Mhm.
Charlie then enters, and Kirk asks him outright if he was responsible for the Antares' destruction. Confronted, Charlie admits to destroying the Antares by making a warped baffle plate in its energy pile go away. He defends his action by claiming that the ship would have blown up anyway and that the crew weren't nice to him and tried to get rid of him. He leaves, and Spock tells Kirk and McCoy, "We are in the hands of an adolescent." Could you imagine 17-year-old hormonal you with that much
Nope.
power?
Nope. I was just gonna say I was just gonna say that'd be a bad, bad
Bad
time.
idea.
It's bad time for anyone.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
I would say, and that's sort of the one of just like they. It's kind of interesting. Like Charlie seems to be written as just like a widely varying age range.
Charlie is an extremely inconsistent character. Like
Yeah.
there's no real consistency to how he is represented. It's basically like, what's a weird thing we can make him do this time? How about this?
Like, because a lot of the sort of just like following around, you're just looking at just like the crewman working, and just like with a look of rapt awe. I believe five. I believe five equally
Yeah.
as much. I would say the tantrums. I'd say the tantrums. Like, yeah, really, aside from the fixation on Yale and Rand, I believe five.
Yeah.
5 works equally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie, his powers now common knowledge, takes over control of the Enterprise, starting with Charlie causing Uhura's communication console to explode, preventing Kirk from sending a distress signal and causing Uhura second-degree burns on her hands. Not cool, Charlie. She works with those hands.
Yes. I was just going to say, she's just trying to do her job.
He wants to go to Colony 5. Kirk knows that the mayhem he would create in that unstructured setting would be far worse than what he's done so far on the Enterprise. Charlie then begins his reign of terror. Which, fittingly, this is my favorite pillow. Oh, can't really see it. There you go.
Is that a Robespierre? Do you have a Robespierre pillow?
I do. I do have a Robespierre pillow. Shout out to the French History podcast, because this is one of his designs, and because I am a patron member, I get like discounted stuff essentially. So I got a Robespierre pillow.
Absolutely. Why would you not? But yes, now he's gone from shithead kid to
actual like
evil shithead kid,
war criminal, basically.
Yes, I was just gonna say, like, no, he does not care for all intents and purposes, and
thank you, Petty Pixie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say yes. That's
I will direct both of you individually after to it. Passing Yeoman Lawton in the corridor, he turns her into an iguana. He enters.
He knows what an iguana is, does not know what a woman is, but he knows what an iguana is. I question his education.
That I'm putting on a shirt. Knows what an iguana is, doesn't know what a woman is.
Does not know what a woman is.
My God. I'm gonna have to open my own TeePublic store.
Oh, please do. Please do. Just cut me in on some. That's all I ask.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We'll discuss details later.
He enters Rand's quarters with a pink rose because he found out that pink was Yeoman Rand's favorite color. Don't know how he figured that one out.
Yep.
Rand is shocked and angry that Charlie walked into her room without knocking. When Rand asks Charlie what he wants, he says he only wants her. Rand is able to activate a communication device in her room. On the bridge, Kirk and Spock hear the conversation and leave the bridge to rescue Yeoman Rand. Because we just don't fucking trust Charlie. We don't know what he's going to do. He is quite literally a loose cannon.
And I would say, and again, pretty much I would say there's just one line that Charlie says, kind of like in the whole, like, I was like, because Janice locked the door, and Charlie just like opened it, just like, and I believe the exact phrase he used is, I'll bring the mic up here. Just.
Oh, I hate this. I hate this already.
Don't ever lock your door on me again, Janice. That is exactly where, I would say, that's exactly kind of where it's just like, no, this is no longer a 5-year-old. This is now
what?
Psycho killer.
What's
this
the
is psycho
what's
killer
the line
vibes.
from Hannibal?
Oh,
Clarice?
God. Hello, Clarice. No, that's not quite. No, that's not quite it.
I've never seen that movie.
That's fine. Well, I was just gonna say,
Petty Pixie. You will know this. What's the line from Hannibal that's making me think of?
Yes, I was just gonna
Silence
say,
of the Lambs. Sorry, Silence of the Lambs.
Let's get our audience member.
No, because Petty Pixie genuinely loves Silence of the Lambs and like has watched it multiple times in 1 month.
Has there? I was just gonna say, I would say, was there a dinner party of Chianti and fava beans?
Nope. They were at home by themselves. So maybe there was Chianti and fava beans.
Notoriously difficult to shell fava beans.
I don't like fava beans. Like, I understand why people think they're fancy, but like, it's the same. No. It's the same amount of work as like an oyster or something. The amount of work you have to go through to have an oyster.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yep, I was just gonna say, and it's worse. It is immeasurably worse for the same amount of work.
Petty Pixie, what I'm getting at is like, don't ever lock your doors, Janice. Come back, Clarice, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something along those lines. Petty Pixie's very confused. That was mentioned.
Yep.
Okay. Kirk and Spock rush to Rand's quarters and try to stop Charlie, but the teenager throws them against the wall and breaks Spock's legs in the process. A shocked Rand slaps Charlie across the face, which may be
Good
this
for her.
image,
Good for her.
to which he responds by making her disappear. Charlie refuses to tell Kirk what he did to her. He then releases both Kirk and Spock after he realizes that he needs Kirk's help to run the Enterprise.
So this is again,
Thanks, Pretty
he
Pixie.
goes from 5 year. I was just gonna say that's sort of. I'm saying, and again, this is sort of where he goes from 5-year-old to calculated. Like, okay, like this is somebody who's all of a sudden starting to like. This is an adult who's starting to put together things. Like that's a lot of just like. Because again, sort of like the adolescent Charlie's like, no, everybody vanishes, but all of a sudden he's starting to.
It reminds me
reptile thing.
of the music of Dolphins, which was a book by Karen Hesse. The whole point of that particular story is that there's a feral girl who is like raised by a pod of dolphins.
Okay.
And that's what it feels like with Charlie. It's like they're not, and I said this earlier, they're not meeting him where he is. They're expecting him to be something different. And The Music of Dolphins is a very interesting read. It is a young adult novel, or like it's a kid's book, so don't go in expecting anything fancy. But like it's a very interesting read of someone essentially learning how society functions. Someone who's never experienced society before. Because I think that is Charlie's biggest problem, is that he is kind of being thrown in to experience a world that he's never encountered.
Yep. And has the ability to make it as he wishes, which is
that's a problem.
The kicker. That's the kicker.
That's where he gets Robespierre levels. He releases both Kirk and Spock after he realizes that he needs Kirk's help to run the Enterprise. Rigging a force field, the crew attempt to trap and hold Charlie in his own quarters, but once he realizes an attempt has been made to confine him, Charlie makes the force field / wall disappear. He then goes on a rampage. He turns a young crew member into an old lady. He orders a group of crew people to stop laughing by removing their faces. One comes out into the corridor, leaving her groping in the corridor, and is still able to make vocal sounds. A third crew woman he freezes as he walks past her. Oh, don't you want to see this, folks?
Like that's the one where I had a visceral like, oh shit.
That I'm pretty sure there was another Doctor Who monster that did this.
I think that's like the. Oh god, I was gonna say like there's like the Flesh.
The Flesh.
Like that's a Matt Smith.
That's
one,
yeah,
think,
yeah,
like
100%. Yep, nailed it.
I would say didn't like it. That and also like the Water from Mars one. It's like I was just gonna say that's the thing for you. It's like nope, eyes, nose, mouth. That's the way
you have to have those.
Yes.
Determined to stop Charlie before he can reach Colony 5, Kirk speculates that in taking over the ship, Charlie may have reached his limit. He thus attempts, with the help of Spock and McCoy, to overload the boy's abilities, ordering all of the ship's systems to be activated. In the midst of the struggle, a ship from Theseus appears. It is at this point that Charlie begs to stay with the Enterprise crew. The Thasians restore the Enterprise back to normal and return Yeoman Rand on the bridge. The Thasian explains to the bridge crew that they granted Charlie immense powers so he could live. Powers that they cannot, or will not, remove. The Thasian expresses regret at the loss of the Antares, but at least can assure Kirk that his own crew and ship have been fully restored to him. The Thasian also tells Kirk it would be impossible for Charlie to live a normal life with his own people, and despite Charlie's pleas to stay with the crew, the Thasian returns him to their vessel and depart. Rand, with tears in her eyes, moves instinctively close to Kirk. I don't like the way that's phrased. Seated in his captain's chair. As she leans on the chair, Kirk laments, "It's all right, Yeoman. It's all over now," as the Enterprise moves on in space. So, this is where the writing of this particular episode gets me. Because, yes, it's a space drama. It's a ship drama, but it happens in space. Fine. There's a lot of things that I'll accept. He has supernatural powers. They've been granted to him. But, why was he granted those powers? If they didn't want him to leave, why did they allow him to leave? Because, like, it seems as though they could have hidden him for his entire life. Um, why does Charlie not want to go back to them? Like, he talks about how they can't love, but I am not convinced that he knows what love is. Um, because he obviously was not reading any poetry while he was trapped on that ship. He was just like reading ship logs and tapes and stuff like that. So just this whole sequence is very confusing to me because it's like they got through the whole episode and then realized, oh god, we have no way to wrap this up. So they just like threw a bunch of things at the wall and were like, yeah, sure,
They
this works.
I was just gonna say that I would say it is as much a Deus Ex Machina as possible. Like there is a
Yeah, yeah,
floating head.
it
Like
is
there's
quite literal
there's
floating
a
head.
Wizard of Oz floating head that comes up and just yeah no sorry that's us here's a handy
Might
explanation
be,
as to
might be,
yeah
bro.
my bad we're gonna take our shithead kid back here we can put your crew back. Sorry about the other guys. Might have gotten here a little late. Should have said bye.
I
Sorry there, bud.
think I would have liked to see this in the Star Trek movie reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, rather than Wrath of Khan. I understand why they did Wrath of Khan. I get it.
Shirtless Benedict Cumberbatch.
Eh,
That's why.
whatever. Um,
Inexplicably shredded. Shirtless Benedict
it's
Cumberbatch.
not inexplicable. He was on the verge of becoming Doctor Strange. He had to be shredded.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I would say again. I only seen him in Sherlock beforehand, where he's just like, all right, that's 4% body fat and 6'3" and 110 pounds, but
Where he's
all right.
like a fluffy puppy.
Yes, yes. I would say that's just like, oh, all right, fair enough. But
Um,
yes. Anyways,
uh, I understand why they went after the Khan story. I think Charlie X would have been a more interesting story to explore in an alternate universe. Because maybe in an alternate universe, we discover that Charlie is, in fact, a Thasian who was sent out, and the idea was like, okay, we want to learn more about the human race, and we want to learn more about the Federation. So it was like, this was the only way they could figure out how to do it. Maybe we meet a Charlie who never encountered the Thasians and doesn't have these powers, but is still trying to learn all of this stuff and does it wrong and still causes chaos. I think this would have been a really interesting story for them to explore because the writers of the episode initially really didn't. They did not flesh out what they could have with this story.
no, I was just gonna say they honestly a lot of it just seems to like they tried to take two different paths with it, like
Mm-hmm.
sort of like the Omen Child sort of thing of just like okay, this is somebody with psychic powers and just like I would say, or like some sort of like supernatural powers and just like not I would say not really just like any sort of control or willingness to use it,
Yeah.
or like feral outside. I was like feral outsider who's just like wants to fuck shit up. And they sort of tried to split the difference, and it didn't really work.
Yeah. Yeah. It just this episode, beyond the fact that it's extremely cringy because
Oh, it's yeah.
Charlie is an
Oh, it's
upsetting child. Um, it's
kudos.
just a
I would
very
say
weak
kudos to the
episode.
actor for nailing it, but just like I would say for nailing the very very creepy
Yeah, yeah,
aspect of it. But oh,
yeah. Robert Walker did great work as Charlie. But it's just not a good episode. Like, and it's not anybody's. Well, it's only the writer's fault. It's not any of the actors' faults because again, they acted their fucking faces off in this
and they had
episode.
like 30.
Quite
I would say
literally
they've
in
got
some
like
cases.
yup, yup. And I mean, if you're doing like 30, I would say like what? Yeah, I was just gonna say yes. I would say the best jokes are the ones that are explained. But yes, I would say, but yes, like just genuinely, like, all right, if you've got 28 to 30 episodes a season, you've got like 50 minutes an episode. You don't have time for edits.
It's true.
This is a
It's
first
true.
draft. Thunk, go.
Yeah, like you can tell the episodes that got a lot of extra work, and you can tell the episodes that were pushed and rushed. So, yeah, just kind of tough in that sense. Well,
Yeah.
oh, I can't believe we got through it. I'm so fucking happy we got through it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's only better from here.
Yeah.
Well,
Ah.
widely variant, but yes, widely variant ways, but yes, at the very least, there's not one that was like, I don't like that.
Yeah. There's no like. There's no um secondhand discomfort. There's no like, oh, I'm uncomfortable
Yes.
for everyone on screen.
Mm. This is not. There is no more cringe drama. Like I would say, I can understand the attraction of a cringe comedy.
Yeah.
This is a cringe drama.
Yeah.
Just
And it
don't like that.
maybe some people like it, but I am just no, thank you.
You.
Ah, well, Brayden. I guess that's the end of another episode of
Yeah.
a Bleepin Space Jim. We did it.
Mm-hmm. We did it. Well done, us. Well
Yay.
done, us. All right. Thank you very much, Petty Pixie, for
Yeah.
sticking around and watching with us.
Um, and I'm sure there's going to be people that will be watching. There's gonna people.
And yes, there is gonna people, and also
People gonna people.
thank you, and also thank you, people who are going to be watching. Other people may take their
What's
talk
the
to Sam.
PBS line?
I'm thinking
This
about
show is brought to you by viewers like you.
listeners like you. I'm thinking NPR.
Ah, 601
I
half
would say
dozen
just
the other.
like by viewers like you, and just maintain eye contact down the camera. Maybe not.
That's a little creepy.
Fair.
Yeah. Thank you everyone who watches this in whatever form you watch it.
Yes.
We have a lot of fun with this. Obviously, we're still sorting some things out. But
But we're having fun.
that's what matters. We are each other's target audience.
I'm just gonna say, and gosh darn it, hopefully at least one other people.
One other people.
One other people.
People gonna people. One other people.
I was just gonna say it's not like I talk on a broadcast in a few different mediums.
No.
Oh, God damn it.
We should probably plug ourselves, hey?
Yes, let's do that. You go first.
Oh.
You've got more things going on.
Okay. So I stream on Twitch, not all that regularly. It's fairly occasional, but I'm trying to be more regular about it. You can find me playing a lot of different video games. Check back on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ABOP, EHHBOP. It's the same on.
I was just gonna say, it's here.
It's here. You're watching it here. It's the same on YouTube. I also host a podcast called Nominated. You can find that on all your podcasting platforms. I watch every movie that's ever been nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. And sometimes I tweet. Actually, most of the time I just tweet my Squirtle. I don't play Wordle, I just do Squirtle. I haven't done Squirtle today. I need to do that later.
I was just gonna say this is a good time. I would say this is good because you still have 3 hours and 48 minutes, give or take. You got this.
I got it.
Oh man, that's
Brayden,
fair.
plug yourself, my dude.
All right, okay. For all intents and purposes, really kind of like the one. Well, I periodically, again, much like Haley, I would say I do sort of also Twitch stream video games, though a lot more in the very, very strange variety sort. As in, I do a thing called D20 Voices, which is basically I play a Dark Souls or a Soulsborne kind of game in which I'm not super great at, and I have a list of 20 different impressions that I do in widely varying effects. And every time I die, I roll a d20, and then that's the one I end up doing.
Yep.
And I would say I enjoy it, and it's also just really a reason for me to stream a video game that I'm just, by and large, just not super great at. So if you want to see me die a lot in Sekiro or Neo or Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3 or really anything that From Software has done and just have a real questionable Elmer Fudd impression, or actually like a pretty decent Shaggy.
Yeah, the Shaggy's
or
really
Scooby. Yeah,
like, wow, Scoob.
Like, wow. You know, I think I better just pound this brewski, Scoob. Rare. Also, I do have a podcast in which I would say called What Explain, in which I actually do research.
Explain.
What? Explain. Again, I would just say the inflection varies each and every episode.
Yep.
and you would be astonished at how many different inflections that I end up managing. What? Explain. But yes, it's a weird facts podcast, about 10 to 30 minutes long. I would say, and again, it's pretty much just about a fact that makes you go, what? Explain.
Yeah, I need to know
What?
more about this.
Yes, exactly. It's like, cheese caves in Springfield, Missouri? Tell me more.
Oh, I always want to hear about cheese.
I was just going to say, Season 3, Episode 4. Also, Season 3 is coming out July... I would say, first episode of Season 3 is coming out July 7th. I have just sent it off to my producer. It makes me happy.
Yay!
And I'll have Haley on for a spin-off of what? I would say of what? No, you explain. In which I make Haley tell me a story. And then we basically play two truths and a lie, because I have a lot of trivia around, and I'm also a very excellent liar in terms of whether or not one of them's true or false.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Nobody's won. I was just gonna say. I would say of the one person I've had on thus far, he's gone 1 for 3.
Yep.
He's gone 1 for 3.
Yep.
All right. Yes, I was just gonna say, and again, oh god, at some point I should probably send a link to that. But yes,
Braden.
long story short, Season 3, July 7th,
Gotta love.
and then every second Thursday.
Gotta love live streaming.
Yep.
We'll see you all in 2 weeks. That is June 29th, when we are going to talk about Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Again, sounds euphemistic. She's gonna say we went. Yep.
I didn't want to say it out loud because I don't want to risk anything, but.
Nope, absolutely.
Um.
I was just gonna say, will it be more fear? Will it be more sex?
You'll have to listen to find out.
Yep.
Braden?
Yes. Haley.
Live fast and get fucked or whatever.
Live fast and get fucked or whatever to you as well. Bye, everyone.